We're told the driver of a white Silverado opened fire on a big rig suspect. Look at the traffic there. Look at the police cars behind it. Obviously, the night sky really shows that well lit up. The suspect wanted for assault with a deadly weapon.
Anaheim Police is the agency handling this. It all started around 8 o'clock tonight as we take a look at that long line of flashing lights. So there's no way that the Silverado doesn't know that they are in pursuit. Police are right behind.
So again, we are on the freeway here, and you can see that there is not a lot of traffic, that pursuit can move pretty freely here at this hour. Obviously, 8 o'clock is past rush hour there, but you can see a very long line of police vehicles. I'm going to guess CHP, being that's on the freeway. Oh, it started in Anaheim. Could be the local police department before they hand off. We are watching the speeds there on our screen, which tend to be varying right now, so not quite sure what the exact speed is. Yeah, let's not.
Yeah, wow, that
right there. Let's skip that part there of our screen, but you can watch the pursuit there. Imagine being any one of those motorists, Susan, that are right next to this pursuit as it goes by.
Well, then on top of that, the want for this driver is assault with a deadly weapon. So the driver is accused of opening fire on a big rig, and so that means that the law enforcement behind this driver is going to be a little nervous and wary that that the driver is, I'm sorry, producer Allie, what did you say?
Anaheim
okay,
PD.
Still Anaheim PD is following this driver. So it started with the driver being accused of opening fire on a big rig. And now it looks like, I don't know, yeah, they're off the freeway now. The driver has gotten onto some kind of surface street, making a hard left turn against the red light. So that's an illegal maneuver as we're following along.
Yeah, this is northeast Anaheim, State College Boulevard, and, well, it's changing now, via Burton Way. This is northeast Anaheim. Boy, the speeds here are really fast on these surface streets here. You can see that road is wide open there, 60 miles per hour there, coming up on other vehicles there parked along the side of the road. Turning now here onto, is this Orangethorpe Avenue and State College Boulevard. Not sure if this driver is from the Anaheim area, being it started in Anaheim. Did they get off the freeway because they know the Anaheim area well? Not sure how much info police have on this driver as well.
Yeah, and that's what's kind of interesting these days, isn't it, Christine, that a lot of times they figure out who the driver is thanks to perhaps the license plate of that vehicle, and then they can actually call people that know the driver to ask them to use their influence to get the driver to stop or slow down, certainly not put others in danger as they try to get out of the way of law enforcement and get away from law enforcement. Going through now, that was a green light actually, so that's good news there, but a lot of drivers become at risk if they are in the way of this pursuit. You do hear the sirens, of course, but it's kind of confusing. Have you ever had that situation, Christine, where you've had somebody go by you, a police pursuit?
Yeah. And not even that, if somebody goes flying by you on the freeway at a high rate of speed, it's alarming. I'm wondering, Susan, on this one, the concern is different when you know somebody has a weapon. If this person is accused of firing at a big rig, that makes you think they have a weapon in the vehicle, a gun in the vehicle, which means police are going to approach this in a much different way, a much more cautious way, knowing that information is out there. You're not going to come up on that vehicle. You're not going to, just approach, without any kind of protection. So when this does come to a stop, if it does, police are probably going to lay back, stay back as they gauge the situation. Not sure if there's anybody also in the vehicle, passengers.
Law enforcement typically are wary, but yes, the fact that there is confirmed information that this driver attempted to fire upon or did fire upon a big rig certainly adds credibility to the concern that this driver might be armed and dangerous. So as we follow along here, where are they located now? On
Kramer Boulevard and East Miraloma Avenue, again, still in northeast Anaheim. This person was on the freeway, got off onto surface streets here, again, wondering if the person is from the Anaheim area, is staying in an area in which they know it well, Wide open streets, though. But also, we don't know how much gas is in that vehicle. It's a heavy vehicle. They could run out of gas much sooner than, say, a compact car. We don't know if there is a full tank there as well. But right now, police are staying on this one. No problem. Blowing through, Susan, a red light, though.
Went right through that red light as the truck continues on. Looks as if perhaps going on to some kind of on-ramp. Perhaps going back onto the freeway. It's hard to tell at this time, but it has that look.
Yeah, 91.
All right, so that's the 91 freeway as this driver in a white Silverado continues to evade police. That's called felony evasion. So when police catch up to this driver, and it's more than likely that police will indeed catch up to the driver, at the minimum, this driver will face evasion, felony evasion, what they call felony evasion, for trying to get away from law enforcement as they are following with lights and sirens trying to get them to pull over. So on the 91 freeway now going westbound, still in the northeast Anaheim area, law enforcement would be police from Anaheim, and that's where the want started, was somewhere in Anaheim, where this driver is accused of assault with a deadly weapon.
Speeds are now above 70 miles per hour, looking at 90 here on our tracker. There are other motorists there on the road. So this guy is guy or female, not sure. This driver's flying by these other vehicles at a high rate of speed. You have that helicopter overhead that can light things up and perhaps serve as some kind of warning. But also you had a lot of police cars that were following this vehicle that can send some kind of signal or warning to people that there is a pursuit in their area. But still, very concerning for other motorists there on the freeway.
Excuse me, Christy, we have Dennis Sine on the phone. We, of course, are very familiar with Dennis as a former LAPD officer as well as city council member. And Dennis, what is your take on what's going on here? Now it looks as if this driver is getting off the freeway, has gotten off the freeway, North State College Boulevard. Dennis? Oh.
Well, we hope to get Dennis back on the line. He gives great perspective as to police tactics in something like this. And yeah, Susan, you noted back onto surface streets. Again, I'm noticing this driver is staying in the greater Anaheim area, having gotten off the freeway twice, when sometimes we see these pursuits go into completely different counties and neighborhoods as they try to get away.
Absolutely. And we often say that if they stay in a certain location, it's probably because they have familiarity and they feel more comfortable doing that. I gotta think that this driver is thinking eventually he's going to have to stop, and that there are only so many ways that a driver can get away from law enforcement, but right now they're right on the driver's tail. So it seems unlikely that the driver will get away, but perhaps that's because I'm rooting for law enforcement in this one.
Yeah, well, also you have to wonder what happened that this driver is accused of pulling a gun or pulling a gun on a big rig. Was it some kind of road rage incident? Was it something more sinister? Not sure what happened there, but obviously that was called in to authorities. They were able to pick up the vehicle here, and here you have this pursuit on surface streets again in the Anaheim, now Santa Ana Garden Grove area. So a little bit of moving around, but back on surface streets here.
It's just on the border there of those two cities. All right, so as we watch this driver wend its way around the Santa Ana, Anaheim Garden Grove area, you see that the driver picks up speed and can hit speeds of upwards approaching 60 miles per hour on these surface streets, which of course is quite nerve-wracking, and going through that red light there, quite nerve-wracking indeed, because, you know, in this kind of situation relatively early in the evening on a Wednesday, there could be people out, pedestrians crossing the street, other cars that can get involved. Looks like back on an on-ramp here.
Yeah.
Is that again the 91 freeway?
Can't quite tell just yet, but obviously this driver has been going on and off of freeways, not really going out of the Anaheim area though. Oh, now on the 57.
Now on the 57.
Then on the 91, now on the 57 going southbound. I can't imagine at this hour, Susan, there's a lot of traffic anywhere unless there's some kind of construction zone.
Okay, we've got Dennis Zine back on the phone. Sorry about that, Dennis. Now we have you again so that you can take a look at what's going on with this driver. What is your take?
Very, very dangerous driving, very dangerous actions by the suspect. We know there's a lead vehicle. I think there's 7 police vehicles in this particular pursuit. And if there is a gun involved, obviously great caution by the officers. We see them going parallel to 2 officers, the 2 squad cars. But they've got enough resources there. Obviously, there's air unit overhead. And this is going to continue until he comes to stop, whether he crashes or he voluntarily stops. I doubt if he's going to voluntarily stop since it's been going on for this length of time. But the concern is for the pedestrians, for the vehicles. Fortunately, it's late, 8:23, and that's going to give us opportunity to hopefully take him into custody without harming the general public or getting any collisions with general public. But he's obviously fleeing at a high rate of speed. And
getting off the freeway
75
again.
plus miles an hour. So he'll go back and forth. Does he know his area? Probably not. If he's wandering in and out, getting up on the freeway, off on the freeway, but he's going through those mid-phase red lights, which is extremely dangerous. And that's when the innocent people end up getting victimized by this kind of situation. Well, and if he's doing this, he's probably a repeat offender, which would not surprise us at all.
Yeah, indeed. Well, the thing is about this particular area, when you have the 57 and the 90, they do intersect. And it seems as if he was sort of staying in the Anaheim area, and you can quite easily traverse the 57 to the 90 and then back down a different freeway in order to get onto the 91, which is where he is now, or the driver is now on the westbound 91. Getting off, and that looked like a rather dangerous maneuver there, kind of jetting into traffic as we watch this white Silverado. Driver is accused of assault with a deadly weapon. Law enforcement right behind.
Yeah, Dennis, what do you make of this driver getting on the freeway, off the freeway, on the freeway? I mean, we've seen this repeatedly within a matter of minutes.
Well, he's trying to obviously lose the officers, but with the helicopter, it's doubtful he's going to lose the officers. And we've got enough units, the local agencies, and I think the California Highway Patrol is obviously in this at one stage or another. They're not going to give up. And if one of the police units bails out, there'll be others in line. There's 7 or 8 local police units involved. And obviously, like right now, he's going to be on the wrong side of the road. I'm surprised he hasn't collided yet. This kind of driving on the wrong side of the double yellows, that's obviously extremely hazardous, dangerous. But they're going to pursue him. If there was a gun involved, they will pursue. If there were shots fired during that time, if it was just a display, assault with a deadly weapon, whatever the case may be, it's a high-priority felony, and they're going to go after him and take him into custody, whether he voluntarily stops, which doesn't look at this particular time he's going to do that, or the truck gives out, which oftentimes we see, or they use a spike strip. There's all kinds of alternates, but the bottom line is with air unit overhead and sufficient ground units, they'll continue following this as long as they need to take him into custody. And wouldn't be surprised if he's been through this procedure of arrest, incarceration in the past. Normal people don't do this kind of situation. Wrong side of roadway, hindering damage and hindering the public right-of-ways. Fortunately, it's late at night, and fortunately, there's not a lot of traffic. If this was commuter time, this would extremely be dangerous. So what we don't have is cars, motorcycles, bicycles, pedestrians. It's a desolate area just because of the time of night going on 8:30 in the evening in that particular part of Orange County.
Yeah. At what point do you think Anaheim Police will hand this off to a different agency, Dennis? Do you have any sense?
Well, if he goes into another jurisdiction or he gets on the freeway, but the initial units will stay with it. Another agency may take over the lead. This kind of situation, I don't see them terminating. Oftentimes, because of the hazardous situation, they will terminate. But in this particular case, you don't have traffic of any sort. You don't have pedestrians. You don't have the hazards that you normally see if it was 5 o'clock in the afternoon, people leaving work going home. So with this kind of situation, they're going to stay with it. And again, I think there's 7 or 8 local agencies in addition to the Highway Patrol. So as we see these narrow incidents, dangerous, extremely dangerous, but he knows they're behind him, and he's going to flee until he either crashes, or I don't think he's going to voluntarily stop. If they do a spike strip, that'll be good. But as you see the hazardous driving, he just doesn't care, and he wants to escape. If they oftentimes escape into large parking lots, I don't see any of those around. So they're going to stay with this individual, and there's enough units in there to stay with him and take him into custody, or she, whichever it's male or female.
Well,
this is going to continue on.
You know, Dennis, we certainly wouldn't be the first person and the first time where you basically know that the sentiment is, as long as I'm driving and not stopped 100% by police, I'm just going to keep going because that means I am not in custody. So
that's correct.
There's no real reason for the driver to stop if he is worried, or he or she is worried about the consequences.
Well, there's going to be consequences one way or another. The chances of escape are very slim to none. So this fleeing isn't going to accomplish anything except increase the penalties, increase the time incarcerated. Once the arrest takes place and the booking takes place, and there'll probably be a hold with an extremely high bail, and then goes through the criminal justice system and the process through courts. But with the traffic as light as it is, and oftentimes pursuits are terminated and we just follow by air. But in this particular situation, traffic is so light, it doesn't justify, especially with a weapon involved, to let that individual go. So I believe they'll stay with this until it comes to a stop, whether the truck gives out or something else takes place.
Yeah, as I was saying earlier, we don't know how much gas is in that vehicle. Also, Dennis, the concern here, it's a heavy vehicle. If this vehicle gets in an accident with another car going at a high rate of speed, that could be bad.
Well, it could be extremely bad, especially a small compact with the speed, the velocity, and the weight of the truck. That would cause very serious damage. A pedestrian, a bicycle rider, a motorcycle rider, etc. There's a lot of possibilities, but then that would just increase the charge. Right now, whatever the charge, if it's ADW, if it's ADW, then there's fleeing the police, the pursuit. So we're racking up the charges, all the traffic violations that are being committed. Those are all part of the process, and they'll review the tape, and they'll review this, and they'll decide all the aspects that took place. They'll make a copy of that tape.
Traffic there. Had to slow down. Patrol car right behind, but keeps on going. Now
this will all be part of the process once he's taken into custody.
Right. This driver seems to tend to hang around the State College Boulevard area, both going northbound and southbound. Back into the northeast Anaheim area, Christine, that's pretty much where we started. Now on the wrong side.
That's the first we've seen of that, where the driver has gone into the wrong lanes. Making that pursuit. Whoa,
right in front of a patrol car.
Yeah, but Susan agreed. This is the first time we've seen that, where the driver has gone into the wrong lanes, and again,
it's still on
doing that,
still
head on
in the opposing lane.
Very
It's
scary.
a divided highway. This is extremely dangerous on a divided highway, as we see.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Exactly. Now imagine you are approaching that vehicle, and it's shocking.
Dennis, would they do a pit maneuver after seeing? Are they moving in to do one? Interesting. Here we go. Here we go.
There's the pit.
Oh wow, it's a heavy vehicle.
A little wobble did get some damage there.
The pit would be appropriate at any time. There we go.
Going through a red light. Whoa!
Wow. All right, so obviously police taking more aggressive moves now to bring this pursuit to an end with that pit maneuver, and they had that road wide open there. But how hard is it, Dennis, with a vehicle like this, a heavy vehicle?
Well, they could do it. I mean, that's a pickup. It's a pickup truck, but it's not one of those heavy pickup trucks. But it is a pickup truck. It does have some weight to it, but the police car can take it out without big problem. I mean, spin it out and take it out. That's what they need to do. They need to bring this to a stop, because it's obviously going on way too long. Public jeopardy is really in trouble with what we see happening. There's a great hazard to the community as this travels through.
He gets a nudge by the patrol car. As long as everybody stops, then he would be trapped, but people want to get out of there.
Oh, look, they're pushing it.
Oh, that's interesting.
They're pushing it. Wow.
Onto the sidewalk, but that still gives him egress. It allows him to keep going. But you're right. Ever since he went into the wrong lane, opposing lane of traffic, law enforcement got a little bit more assertive about trying to catch up to that car.
And also,
they want to stop him.
Go ahead,
They
Dennis.
definitely want to stop. They'll use whatever means they can do now, because obviously he's showing total disrespect. He wants to go at all costs. I wouldn't be surprised. He's not going to bail. I mean, if he bails out, he's got a ton of officers around him. He's not going to go on foot. So he'll go as far as he can. And we've seen these pursuits go for a long period of time. The benefit right now is it's very light traffic, extremely light traffic. And that's a safety hazard. So we want to make sure, if it wasn't for that, they may have terminated this pursuit and just going by the air unit. But with the light traffic, we don't really put many people in jeopardy just because traffic is so light. You see, there's no pedestrians and bicycles, etc. Those are inherent hazards. Everyone's coming home from work, but he'll blow these red lights, mid-phase red. But again, you've got all those sirens blaring. You got the helicopter overhead, and they're going to continue doing this. And I think that truck's going to start giving out as we see some smoke coming out of it. I think you're going to see that truck maybe lose the ability to continue to flee.
Well, there was a part that flew off after that first pit maneuver, and it looked as if the patrol car was hoping to do yet another one, but didn't quite get the right position. And then traffic built up, frankly. That truck kind of wending its way through some stopped cars at a light. And that was interesting to see the car be pushed by a patrol car onto the sidewalk.
Well, you see the damage. There's a lot of damage to the driver's side. The rear, you see the rear bumper. So that truck is being damaged along this process. And obviously not going to stop. The only way to be taking this out is that truck to give up, or they're going to do a pit or some other procedure to take it out of service.
Well, Dennis, we just saw that move in action where they were pushing the vehicle while there were other motorists there, other cars right there stopped at a light. Obviously, not only are police getting more assertive, as Susan used the word assertive, I said aggressive, but as police are making more moves to bring this to a close, I'm thinking about the driver who doesn't seem to be fazed by police bumping up against the vehicle, pushing the vehicle, trying to pit the vehicle. That driver is still going.
Well, they're using what is reasonable, as we term in law enforcement. Reasonable means to bring this termination and utilize those procedures. And if it means taking the car up to the curb, whatever the case may be, obviously it didn't work. But what they need to do is bring it to a stop. And the individual, obviously, from the time we've seen, is not going to stop. So it's going to have to be either run out of fuel or have some kind of disabled vehicle situation take place, or he's not going to surrender. He's going to be taken into custody, but it's going to be after this vehicle gives out one way or another.
Well, we also don't know what police may know about this driver. If it was an assault with a deadly weapon accusation here, we don't know how much more information they have on this driver and why they are making these moves to try to bring it to a close.
A lot of information comes from that driver's license, right, Dennis? And in this case, though, we don't know 100% if the driver is the owner of this vehicle or the registered owner of this vehicle. But on the other hand, all they're going on now is the want. If the want is assault with a deadly weapon, if the want is that this driver pulled a gun on a big rig driver, then that's going to inform the way the police go after this white Silverado. If you're just joining us now at 8:36 in the evening, we've been following this police pursuit, mostly in the Anaheim area and oftentimes on State College Boulevard, if you're familiar with that. The truck has gone on and off the freeway on the 90, the 91, and the 57. But right now, Anaheim police getting a little bit more aggressive, as Christine says, to try to get this driver to stop, because the driver went into opposing lanes of traffic, which is far more dangerous than what we're looking at now. And even what we're looking at now looks pretty nerve-wracking.
Yeah, this isn't the kind of a situation where they're going to do a tracking mode. There's already been so much violence by this individual. They're going to continue with this and bring this to an end, and hopefully sooner than later. But he's obviously not going to surrender, not going to give up. And if it's a stolen vehicle, but when you have a weapon involved, is what is reported, then that deadly weapon, you've got to make sure that individual is taken into custody.
Got close.
And they'll use the means appropriate to do that, and as we see. But I'm concerned, obviously, about the general public. as he goes through those intersections at that speed. And the speed is, 50 some miles per hour.
Yeah, sorry to be reactive, but it looked as if there was a car coming from a different direction and came awfully close.
But the game changer, Susan, you brought up was when that driver started going into the wrong direction, the wrong lanes of a divided road there, and did it not once, but twice, maybe even 3 times. That's a game changer when you have a truck like this willing to go head on into traffic, towards traffic. And Dennis, we've seen those end very badly when that happens.
Yes, absolutely. We have over the years. They do. This hopefully is going to come to an end soon. He's going to either run out of fuel, or run out of energy, run out of something.
There's the pit. This one was more successful.
Oh, my gosh.
The truck is now smoking, and it looks as if it's disabled. Now the patrol cars will surround that car to ensure that it can't continue driving. But it's smoking now, so you got to get that driver out.
Look at all those police vehicles there, right there, as they brought that pursuit to an end. The driver has not, from what we can see, exited the vehicle. Dennis, how concerned are we seeing this smoke?
Well, he's obviously burning something up in the vehicle. The engine may have gone, or something is causing that. And I wouldn't be surprised if they need the fire department to put that out. They want to get him out of the vehicle, but again, the officer's going to have their weapons out because there's a gun involved, a possible gun involved. So they're going to take caution, get him out, and he's going to have to get out for his own safety. Because that vehicle obviously is it's now ignited a fire.
Yeah, unless the impact rendered him unconscious. But you see there the police officers with their guns drawn, and they approach every vehicle with a lot of precaution. What am I talking about? But in this case, in particular, they'll be worried because they know that the want on this driver is assault with a deadly weapon.
They backed up there. Interesting move there, and took a little more protection, perhaps, behind this vehicle. Remember, this is thought to be a driver with a weapon who perhaps showed the weapon towards a big rig driver. So we know the state of mind is that this driver was willing to do anything to get away, driving in between cars, driving the wrong way in a divided road, straight on to other cars. But look at the positioning there, Dennis, of the law enforcement taking cover for themselves.
Do you think part of it is because they're worried what the vehicle will do? It was all of a sudden they kind of all backed up. We still see 1 or 2 officers with their guns drawn, but
apparently there's a fire within the engine. Looks like coming out of the hood, but they backed up. Maybe he's still in the car with a weapon, and obviously if he does have a weapon, he could start shooting at the officers indiscriminately, and obviously they don't want to get shot. So they'll use the ballistic panels they have. Whatever the means they have to protect themselves, they're not going to yank him out of the car.
Right.
The car's obviously it's smoking, which means there's some kind of a flame within the engine. So you'd think by now he'd be jumping out of the car. But eventually they're going to have to take him out of that car. They're not going to let the car catch fire and keep him in there, but they got to do extreme caution.
Yeah, watching the pit right now that ended this pursuit. Right there, the vehicle backs into another looks like a retaining wall there, and you see that smoke continue to pour out. This is a very scary situation for law enforcement when you have a person said to have had a weapon who's not exiting the vehicle. You do wonder if the person is conscious, if the airbags went off, if they are not well. But why are they not getting out of that vehicle with all that amount of law enforcement? No way that person can get away.
Airbags can be quite physically damaging. People have been rendered unconscious by an airbag, especially with the impact with the retaining wall there or the divider there. Meantime, they have a police dog out there, so it's possible they'll send the dog in before an officer goes in. Correct, Dennis?
I can see movement. It looks like there's movement in the cab. I can see movement in the cab of the truck. So he's definitely in the truck, and he's definitely moving around. So with that, he's conscious. If the airbag went off, you can still survive. That's what the airbag is there for, so you can survive. I'm surprised he's not out by now.
Well, maybe he doesn't want to come out.
Maybe the vehicle isn't smoking or... Wait, there's a door opening on the back there? On the passenger side?
Yep, here he comes.
Looks like somebody's coming out. Again, we don't know if there was a passenger in the vehicle or if this is indeed the driver, but perhaps this is the way the person could get out of the vehicle. You see law enforcement there kind of repositioning to perhaps have some better commands and visuals. Okay, person's out. A person is out. Hands up.
They're following police orders, so they back up. They have their hands in the air. Eventually, they will be told to lie down onto the asphalt so that they can be cuffed. But we can barely see, but it seems as if they are continuing to back up and back up towards officers. Now, the next question is whether that is indeed the driver and nobody else is in the truck, or if there is somebody else there that they have to concern themselves with. But in the meantime, one person will be in custody shortly.
Out of the passenger side of the car.
Out of the passenger
the driver's side.
But remember when the police car pushed the truck onto the sidewalk, it was on the driver's side. So that could have damaged the car in such a way that you can't get out of the driver's side.
Yeah, possibly.
Right. It came out the passenger side. It doesn't appear that anyone else is exiting. It's hard to see with the visibility.
Yeah, here's a replay of what happened when the truck was stopped by traffic. Police came in and then pushed it onto the sidewalk, but that did allow the truck to go on its way a little longer before the pursuit came to a halt.
And as we're watching the pit maneuver that did end the pursuit, that's it right there on the right side of your screen. It first hit one wall there, then careened into the second wall. And you're right, Susan, maybe the front door, the driver's side door, was not able to be opened, and they were able to communicate somehow and indicate the driver was going to come out the passenger side. But again, Dennis, looking at this positioning here, can you tell if there's anybody else in the vehicle? Police have not given the all clear.
They will search that vehicle. They'll search the driver's side, the passenger side. They'll look into that. There's the front seat, the rear seat. I'm surprised they haven't approached that yet. They do have him in custody. They will definitely search that car and see if they obviously want to find the gun if there is in fact a gun. But it doesn't appear that anyone else is inside that car. But they'll approach that to make sure that there's nothing in there. And this gun is what the big question is. And he came out, his hands obviously be handcuffed, so is there a gun still in the car?
Well, they have the dog right there. I'm surprised they haven't sent the dog in to take a look.
Well, the dog will search for bodies, but they can see if there's any other bodies, any other individuals in there. But he came out it looks like he came out the rear door on the passenger side.
Yeah,
because that's one of those four-door pickup trucks.
Right, there's like a back seat, like sometimes a bench seat.
I'm really watching the back officers there on the right. Guns are still drawn. They're still taking precaution there for their own safety. And you still see the officers there on the left. They're also, they've shielded themselves too. So it does make me wonder if there's not somebody else still inside that vehicle. Now you have that one front police car pressed up against the truck and an officer standing by there. Perhaps that person has the best visual. But Dennis, this posturing makes me think there might be somebody still in that vehicle.
Well, I would say it's a possibility. I mean, they will clear the car, absolutely. I don't know why they haven't done it. They got him in custody. He's there in custody. I'm sure he's got handcuffs by now. They're questioning him, but you've got sufficient officers there to approach that and find out and make sure the car is clear. I'm surprised they waited this time.
Maybe there's somebody in there.
If that's the case, that person would be wise to exit the vehicle. But it's hard with the sight that we have, the darkness.
Yeah.
We don't seem to have that illumination on that cab to really tell.
And of course, because the original want was assault with a deadly weapon, if there is another person in that truck, then the concern would be that person would have access to a gun or some kind of a weapon.
Exactly. But I think during the pursuit, we didn't see more than one individual in the truck during that pursuit. So I'd be surprised.
You have better eyes than I then, Dennis, because I couldn't figure that out.
Well, also, if they have the person in custody, perhaps they're getting information. Again, they have not approached this vehicle. And so I'm still wondering if there's somebody in the vehicle. Obviously, they've got concern. Or are they making the move now? Look here. They have that face shield, that shield. Is that right?
Yes. Ballistic. They have the ballistic shield. So that means there may be somebody else in there, that they have not approached it, and that means there may be somebody else in there.
They got some kind of information that suggests that that's the situation.
They can come up with the ballistic shield. That'll be the lead officer. There'll be officers accompany that officer on the approach, and that's what they believe. There may be someone that's hiding on the floor. That vehicle obviously hasn't been searched, so they're still standing by, and a supervisor will say, okay, mount that forward and check it out and make sure. I mean, they're not going to leave it without checking.
Yeah, Dennis, or perhaps somebody is disabled or unable to get out of the vehicle or hurt in some fashion. You had one person exit the vehicle. They probably have been able to provide some kind of information, like somebody's inside, but they can't get out, or they hit their head, or whatever reason.
They were too impacted.
They're moving in now. They're moving in.
Oh, watch this. And Dennis, that sort of explains why they didn't send in the dog. So instead, they have the officers with the ballistic shield. They've got that high-powered light there, so they'll check it out to see whether or not there is indeed somebody else in there.
Well, the lead officer will have the ballistic shield as we see it. They're approaching, and they're going to come up on that car. They got the weapons drawn. The officer with the ballistic shield will be the lead. They're going to look inside with the flashlights and determine if anyone, and if not, then they'll turn around, and it's going to end up being suspect in custody and a car requesting tow.
Oh, they pulled somebody out? Does it look like they have somebody?
No, but it does look like there's a couple of doors open now.
I mean, they're dealing with something there.
Someone could have been hiding. Someone could have been hiding under the seat, on the floorboard.
Their posture doesn't suggest that to me.
Is there someone? I can't see from the picture. It's not that clear.
No, I could be wrong on that. So it looks like.
But they're walking. They're walking back. So they either have someone or not. I don't think anyone came out.
But are they dealing with something there on the ground? Did they pull somebody out onto the ground there? That they're kind of hovering around the ground. I'm just wondering.
You mean on the driver's side of the truck?
Most of them walked away.
Yeah, I don't
maybe
think,
they're looking for the gun.
Yeah.
It is sort of interesting. We can, for the first time, see a better view inside the cab a little bit, because the door's now open, and you can see the flashlight going through the cab of this white Silverado.
But you see how there's officers there. They keep going to the ground, and I'm just wondering, I could very well be wrong. Did they pull somebody out who's unconscious or needing medical aid?
I just feel like the posture of these officers suggests otherwise, or the posture suggests that if it is somebody that got pulled out and are disabled somehow, that has allowed the officers to feel more comfortable about changing their stance.
Right.
The guns are back, put away. But bottom line is that this is the end of the pursuit. It's a successful end of the pursuit, in that the truck was finally disabled, and it was pitted. It was pitted a couple of times, and now you're here in this location with all of these Anaheim police officers trying to figure out if they can clear the truck and call it all cleared up. So you're convinced, Christine, as you get a little closer?
You know, I can't tell. It's just too hard to tell with this. The clarity
from
of
this
the shot
perspective,
here. Even though we've got a better angle of it, but I still see them doing something there in that pocket that lets me think something's going on, whether it's evidence or a person. Can't tell.
Yeah, it's hard to see.
I think there was a person. If there was a person injured, they'd be rendering aids, first aid, etc. I don't see anything to that sort. Maybe they're looking through a bag. Maybe a bag they're looking through.
Yep.
That could be
more evidence. It's part of the investigation. They've got to cover their P's and Q's in order to make sure that they've got good information for their investigation. All right, so the end of this pursuit, we've been watching it for the last half hour or so. We've had with us Dennis Zine, former LAPD officer. We thank you for your perspective, Dennis, and we move on from here.
My pleasure. Thank you, ladies.